everybody? Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for watching. Today we got another Nolan Wells update. You know, his friends did an interview with Donald Trump's lawyer right here, okay? And they're trying to sympathy farm and turn this into make everybody think that they're the victims because they were the last ones with the black kid that died, and everybody thinks they did it, so they're the victims, even though they're still alive, walking around well, young, kicking it, drinking. They still alive, but they the victims. Okay. Barely.
The CETO call, their response to the GPS data,
exactly.
Their response to the last time
they've been lying
Nolan,
the whole time.
Their response to Nolan not being on the boat. But before we get there, let's rewind a little bit to the beginning so we can get their idea of their entire timeline. And I'm gonna be using the help of my girl, J. Megan. Now, this is the complete timeline of what they're saying took place.
Okay, this is my full Nolan Wells timeline with my supporting evidence. There were 3 boats in their group that day: Palm Beach, the Triton, and the Tideline. By the way, if you like my work, you can support me in my bio, because by the end of this video, I'll be dropping never before seen evidence. Anyway, back to the timeline. Warren said they got there at 10:30, even though the GPS said that they dropped their waypoint at 11:19. He said the Tidecraft, the Palm Beach, and the Triton were all like anchored up next to each other. At 3 o'clock, he gets into a fight with some stranger who didn't like the way that he was talking to his girlfriend, because, I mean, look at the way he was talking in this interview. I don't blame them. And they had a fist fight. His uncle was like, "We're getting the hell out of here."
I remember at one point.
Why the fuck was his uncle on a boat on an island full of kids on 4th of July? That's my question. I'm not going to party with my nephew. Nigga, what the fuck?
I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me to get in the boat. I stopped fighting. As soon as me and him made eye contact, I got an uncle. I got in the boat.
Then Warren says that his brother was also involved in the same fight.
They'll come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously, I have a younger brother, and that's what she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline, talked to anybody, put my drink down, and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and, you know, there's a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight," and this guy punched me in the face, and I punched him right back. Then I went to the ground, my brother put him in an armbar. And Nolan involved in any of this? Absolutely not. When I was over there, there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there. Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost one.
The minute they asked, was Nolan involved in that altercation, he lost his train of thought. But
Was Nolan involved? I don't know.
but okay, now let's pause right here. That was around 3 p.m.
Nigga, you know.
Tristan got into an altercation. Simultaneously, Warren's brother was involved in an altercation around the same time. Now, Warren nor Tristan have came out and said these altercations was connected.
Right.
That's something that they have left out, by the way. They have never came out and say, "Yo, these altercations was connected."
Right.
Because I think once you admit, "Yo, these altercations was connected,"
now you start talking about something that could be real around this motherfucker. You feel me, though? Now you talking about something. Now it's like, was Nolan involved too? Because it sounds like 2 of Nolan's friends was involved. So who's to say that Nolan didn't get involved somehow, some way? I don't think it would be crazy to say that Nolan got involved in this. If 2 of my friends was fighting, shit, I'm swinging. I don't even know what's going on. I see my friend getting punched. I don't know what's happening. Pow! I'm just quick too. Like I might get knocked the fuck out, but I'm not. We gonna get knocked out together. You feel?
You would then have to say, "Hold on, bruh." So Warren, Tristan, 2 of Nolan's quote-unquote best friends were involved in altercations and in fights. Nolan was with the group, but you didn't see Nolan nowhere in sight? I don't know, bruh. That don't seem... If my 2 best friends were involved in fights, the first thing you're gonna see me is running towards the altercation.
Hell yeah.
Especially if we're in the same group, bro, we're all nearby each other.
Right.
You get into a fight, your 2 best friends are involved in altercations, you not coming to check in on a best friend?
I'm coming to swing on somebody,
theory,
man.
in my personal opinion, I think Nolan may have been in more proximity to that quote-unquote altercation or that quote-unquote fight than they're leading on. But again, we can't prove that, so let's just continue with their timeline.
Okay.
But that's the first discrepancy. 3 p.m., Tristan was involved in a quote-unquote fight. Warren was involved in a quote-unquote fight. They have refused to say whether or not those 2 fights were connected. But what they're both saying is Nolan was nowhere near this altercation. He was nowhere involved. Even though his 2 quote-unquote best friends were involved in altercations near him He was nowhere involved. That he never came over to check up on them or get involved.
Okay.
You're ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
This is
Yeah, this led up to that.
Yeah. So the fight happened. Your brother or the scuffle.
Oh.
I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of this
Right.
situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything about it. I pulled my brother off the beach. I was just like, listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down. I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom, and I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat, and no water's coming out, no access water's coming out, and it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there's so many people getting on and off the boat. At some point, the boat was very, very crowded, and there's just a lot of people on, so that it drags water.
Yeah, that's not how boats work. Boats don't flood getting in and out of water. Mind you, I'd also like you guys to see that they are in much shallower water than they claim. But I digress. As someone whose parents have had several boats in their life, boats don't just start sinking because people are
I'm gonna be honest. I'm a nigga from Chicago. I ain't never had no boat. Okay. I don't know shit about boats. Okay. I only think I'd have been on a few boats out here in Miami world. I think that's the only place I've even been on a boat in Miami. I got on a Navy pier. Fucking what's the little shit? I forgot what it's called. The ferry in a Navy pier. And then when we was in Orlando, I think we was at. Have you ever needed your paycheck to just come a little early? Like, yeah, you get paid on Friday, but it's Tuesday and you need the money now. There's a banking app called Current, and they got a whole bunch of super useful features on this app. And one of the best features is it lets you access up to $750 of your paycheck early if you qualify. With Current, you get a full list of features like paycheck advance, fee-free overdraft, the bill card, and more. Now, Paycheck Advance is my favorite, but if you focused on building credit or if you just want a smoother way to manage your money, it handles everything in one app. And I know how I feel for your paycheck to be coming Friday, but you need your money Monday and it's an emergency and you need that money now and you can't get that money now because you gotta wait, but you can't wait. And that's why I partner with them. And right now they're giving $75 to anybody who signs up for the Current app using the link that's in my description or scanning the QR code that's on the screen. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you straight to the sign up page where you can create your account. Just go through the normal sign up steps, enter your information, and order your Current card. After you complete those steps, you'll see the option that pops up to enter my promo code. And that promo code is going to access your $75 when you switch your direct deposit. Make sure you go through the full sign up process so you do not miss out on the $75. If you ever feel like managing money is stressful or even just tight sometimes, it's definitely worth just checking out because that's literally what it's designed for. Helping people just like you stay more on top of your finances. I think we went to Disney. I think I went to Disney. I don't know. I think I was on a ferry somewhere, but I don't know.
in and out of the water.
I don't know
I
shit
think they
about
were
no boat.
trying to run as
Like
well
I do.
because there is an underage kid who just got into a physical fist fight on the island. All of them are drinking and driving boats, so they're trying to hightail it out of there.
Nolan is 19 years old. Warren, I believe, is 19 or 20 years old. The oldest person there in that friend group was Bart, who was 21.
Right.
But Warren claims his younger brother was much younger than them. Much younger, what, 3 or 4 years?
16 or something like that.
So a freshman or a sophomore in high school.
Right.
He was on the island, surrounded by underage drinking. Let's just say possibly, right, a freshman or sophomore in high school was also drinking.
Probably.
Any other case, there will be somebody in cuffs and in jail right now, which already tells
Exactly.
you that there's collusion happening. Powerful people in that city is connected. This is a really small town.
Exactly.
And these kids' parents are judges or doctors in this really,
Lawyers.
really small town.
Right.
They
They
must
run
be
it.
connected to governors, mayors,
Of
government
course.
officials,
Of course.
sheriffs. Because any other case, right, the person that's guilty of providing liquor to freshmen and sophomores in high school possibly, and freshmen in college, they will be in jail, especially when you take into consideration that the liquor, according to them, Nolan was sloppy drunk. Now, Nolan's mom says she don't believe it, but they said he was sloppy drunk. So according to them, Nolan was sloppy drunk, and that may have contributed to him drowning.
Right.
Any other case, the person who provided, right, liquor would
At the very
least be charged with like delinquency of a minor. Like at
Exactly.
the very least.
Exactly.
At the most, probably
yeah.
manslaughter, right? Because your actions contribute
the
to the
most.
death of somebody else.
Right.
No charges have been brought. But I digress. Let's get back to the timeline. 3 p.m. was when the altercation with Tristan and the altercation with Warren and his brother took place.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan, according to them, was not involved in the altercation whatsoever. He was nowhere around. But somehow, 3 p.m., when they said after the fight, they hauled butt back to the boat to get him out of there.
Right.
That's when they last saw Nolan, they said, at 3 p.m. So Nolan was close enough to where in a rush to get back, y'all see Nolan, but Nolan was not close
nowhere
enough
near
to
to the
come
fight.
to the rescue of his two best friends involved in fistfights and physical altercations. Okay. That's strange. Okay. So 3 p.m. was when they, quote unquote, last saw Nolan, which is also contradictory to them saying we was calling for Nolan to get back on the boat at 4:30. But let's continue with the timeline.
Now, Warren goes into so much detail that he accidentally explains what really happened, but not in the way that he was saying it.
I think over time we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater. And so the motor wouldn't turn down. I mean, my buddy would go to turn it down from the console, and it turned down, and then it come right back up.
Now, trimming the motor means they move the propeller closer to the transom and it lowers the bow, which means they can drive through choppy water without risking that choppy water to come into the boat. Failing to trim your boat up and taking off at a high speed can not only overheat very quickly and cause it to shore, but if waves are high, it won't cut through the wake and it will cause the boat to porpoise and possibly have rough, choppy waters get on your boat.
Right.
So, I mean, on the way out there, it was pretty calm. I think it was blowing like 3 or 4 knots. I mean, the waters were clear. It was a great day to be on the water. Sunshine, not cloudy at all. And I mean, it was a great day to be out there on 4th of July. And so, I mean, we followed each other out, and I mean, it was calm. It was calm. On the way back, it was a little more rough, but it was not anything all my buddies boats could handle, or like it wasn't like we were getting beat, really beat.
Now, as you can see, it is tilted up here in the back, and look how low the front is. He admitted that they hit choppy water at one point, so not that hard of a stretch to think that the water started coming over the boat, and that's when they were in trouble. That's when the bilge pump stopped working. Because Warren, when they claimed that they were leaving and he was jumping into action because it was sinking, he says this.
Maybe disabled to where you could get it out from Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Byron, you're sitting looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the water, the access water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any access water just sitting in the boat wasn't getting pumped out. So I looked over the gunnel and I looked at the release hole for the bilge. It was eating with the water. So I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well then, eventually, my buddy Bart on the timeline is like, I'm gonna pull you all out.
So even though they were still on the island, he jumps out and throws out an anchor? Why did they pull the anchor up to begin with if they were sinking? If they were sinking, why was Bart offering to tow them out? Why would they risk being that close to the island and that close to ground to sink out further? Because again, look at how shallow of water these boats are in.
The reason why that's important is because if they tried to haul butt up out of there first and they went a little deeper and then came back once they realized, oh, yo, we're sinking, that matters because TMZ, Tatum, and all these people have been saying, oh, look, there's this photo of them. You know, they're on the water, they're sailing away. Nolan is nowhere in sight. That could have been around 3 p.m. when they were trying to haul butt up out of there without Nolan. And then realized, oh, yo, we can't go nowhere. Like, we're sinking. And they came back to shallow waters. Because it wouldn't make sense to start off on shallow waters, realize you're already sinking.
And then keep going.
That's
what I've been saying. I've been saying that. Like, it sounded like y'all had a lot of problems for a motherfucker with some boats that just happened to make it back an hour trip on some water back to land, back home. Sound like that motherfucker was working pretty good to me.
You sink on shallow waters, that makes no sense as well. But to realize, oh, damn, yo, we're on like shallow waters, we're near land, right? Like the boat is docked near land on shallow waters.
Right.
We realize we're already like sinking, but we're gonna
go a 45-minute trip,
sail to deeper waters where we have where there's a chance of us to like fully get engulfed by the water. That wouldn't make sense, right?
Right.
And how they describe it, where like the water was like overflowing the boat, that wouldn't happen where they were docked. Like that was like literally like shallow waters. Like, bro, you could see like their feet, like the water don't go past like damn near like their ankles or something.
Yeah.
So that photo could be undermined if they were trying to haul butt up out of there at 3 without Nolan, came back once they realized they can't, and then spent another hour and 30 minutes trying to fix this boat problem. And the only reason why that's important is because the narrative has now been, I mean, y'all seen the picture. There's no chance, impossible, that all these theories y'all are.
My question is,
Nobody got time for that.
Who took the picture? Who took the picture? First of all, Who took that picture? And like you said, you was out there. Y'all was trying to figure out what was wrong with the boat, and then you came back. So it's not impossible that Nolan couldn't have been on the boat after you came back.
Putting out there is true.
Because remember, I want y'all to remember, their original story was the boat was malfunctioning, so we told Nolan to get on a boat with us, but we didn't. He didn't listen to us, so we left without him. That don't make no fucking sense. The boat is sinking, so let's hurry up and get on the sinking boat and leave. Sound like to me the nigga had more sense than y'all, motherfucker. I'm not getting on no sinking boat to leave. Fuck you. It sounded like y'all was trying to leave after that fight that happened. And then y'all tried to leave. It didn't really work, so y'all came back. Because the boat was fucked up. It doesn't make no sense for y'all to be trying to hurry up and get out of there on a boat that y'all say is sinking. So why would you be in a hurry to get on a sinking boat and go back an hour? This not a cross the pond, nigga. This is an hour, 45 minutes to an hour trip, bro. Like,
well, when you look at things like this, you can't rule out the possibility the boat may have came back within an hour and 30 minutes. Nolan may have been killed.
mm-hmm.
Or Nolan may have been on the boat when they sealed off.
Mm-hmm.
Because the picture could very well have been from the first time they tried to get on deep waters. Because you wouldn't do that in the reverse.
Right.
Now, we're not saying they did anything. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm just saying you can't rule it out. You can't do this interview and say, it's impossible.
Exactly.
These people are only questioning us for ulterior motives. It's impossible. No.
And that's why I hate that they keep pushing that dumbass narrative. They only questioning us because we white. No, they questioning you because you was the last fucking person, the last people that was verified to have been around the dead kid before he died. Mysteriously.
Possible. And these are things Tatum, who has been the sole interviewer so far, has refused to dive deep on.
Of course.
But let's get back to the timeline.
What I suspect is that everybody just hauled ass and left, but because the trim was not going down, it overheated, that stalled out, then the crashing waves were freaking everybody out. But even Warren couldn't keep his story straight or his timeline straight because then listen.
All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well then, eventually, my buddy Bart on the timeline is like, I'm going to pull you all out so we're around all this, all this chaos.
We left at 4:30 and there were still
just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. It was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And,
eventually, Bart pulls us out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out.
So he says it right there, that Bart pulls them out, they leave at 4:30. And you may be thinking, well, he pulled them after, he towed them after, but...
out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, Bart's port side cleat, or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow. And so he was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get situated.
Well, that's when Y called Tito.
We know that phone call was around 4 p.m. to the private towing company. Now, in my last video, I went into detail with the Bart, the fight, all of that stuff, the discrepancies between like the neck of water and then suddenly being in 31 feet of water, etc. I'm going to skip over that. Now, the last data point for the GPS was at about 8 o'clock that night. So then they go over to a female friend's house to go to the pool. And yet, instead of joining his friends in the pool, this is what Warren did.
That you're in a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that? Well, where's Nolan at?
All right, well, now I got to stop your ass, because what 18-year-old goes to a friend's house to party? All the friends go downstairs to the pool area.
And he upstairs talking to her dad about boats. That's why I looked at the camera like, so what? Y'all talking about boats? What the fuck?
He goes upstairs to talk to her father about boats? Mind you, these children had been drinking all day long.
Right.
And he and his buddies don't go home until 3 a.m., mind you. Now, I know it's been a while since I've been 18, but that's a long day in the hot, in the sun, drinking. Sounds to me like you were talking to this dad
To get some
to
info.
help with the story.
Right.
It's important to really go back and remind people of these really tiny details, because these tiny details like this have kind of like disappeared, right? As time progresses, as the story kind of progresses,
They ain't got no
these
details
tiny,
no more.
minute details that are like very crucial has kind of disappeared. But the reason why that particular detail is important is because that's the timeline in which they figured out, wait, Nolan might be missing. So they get to this crib. He goes upstairs after drinking all day while partying to go talk to the only adult at the time around.
Right.
Why you go upstairs to talk to the only adult? He says he was trying to talk about boats. Okay, cool. Okay. Is it possible that he might have went upstairs to ask about advice for a tricky situation they might have been in? Possible.
I don't think it's that. I think my first thought went to, in my opinion, maybe he was trying to get some information out of this older guy that he knew about boats that he could maybe use to cover up what happened.
Bull. But when he comes back down after talking to the only adult around, he comes back downstairs and he walks into a conversation where they're just conveniently talking about Nolan Wells. They're just talking about their good old buddy Nolan. Now, I'll be real with y'all, bro. There's just too many coincidences lining up here.
That's what I've been saying the whole
that I
time,
think
bro.
After a couple coincidences, you got to start asking what's a coincidence and what's not.
Exactly.
Because what's not natural about this is, if I leave, let's say, my friend at a party, right? Let's just say I leave my friend at a party, right, at 4 p.m., right? And then I go about my day. I'm probably not thinking where my homie is, right? Right? Like, again, I'm just being real with y'all, bro.
Be real, though.
If I leave my homie at a party at 5 p.m.,
I'm not going home. I'm not going home and being drunk and just being like, where Charles at? Where Timmy at? Where John at? Why would I be thinking about anything happening to John? I was just partying with him. He drunk. He probably in some pussy or something. I don't know where he at. We partying. We still partying. I'm not gonna coincidentally be like, hey, anybody check on John? Let's call John, see if he. And then, man, whatever. Okay.
my homie is talking to a girl, I'll probably like hit the homie up like the next morning, like, hey, bro, you feel me?
Right.
Like, what's up? Like, what you on today?
Right.
I'm not leaving and like at 8 p.m. Yo, bro, what's the homie at? That's not the natural progression of partying, especially if we all drinking and partying still. I'm probably not worried about where the homie is.
Exactly.
But to go upstairs and talk to the only adult around for quote unquote board advice, again, we think it was for advice for a tricky situation, but that's just my opinion. Come downstairs and then conveniently walk into a conversation about Nolan, and then your mind automatically goes to the worst. Where's Nolan? He's missing. Call Coast Guard. Come on, sir.
And you go downstairs and your friends just so happen to be talking about Nolan, and then you're like, oh my God, I should call the Coast Guard.
I went back downstairs and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talk about Nolan. And I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him?
It just seems pretty convenient that after
bro.
his powwow upstairs with the father of his friend, he comes downstairs and then all of a sudden they start talking, have you seen Nolan? No, I haven't seen Nolan. Have you seen Nolan? Maybe we should call this person. We should call his mom. Almost seems like they actually go back downstairs after talking about what they should do about the situation with the dad, or whatever it is they were really doing at that time, came downstairs and started talking about Nolan publicly so that everybody at the party party could be organic witnesses to when the conversation happened. Because he kept contradicting himself. He kept saying, I wasn't too worried about it, but then also we know that they can kill people. But also, maybe I would just call the Coast Guard, just to make sure it's okay. I'm so mad I didn't save it, but in one of these interviews, they said that Katie was supposed to come to the party with them later, which is why Nolan said he was going to hang back with her. So why would they dry snitch to their friend's mom before getting in contact with Katie? So as I was making this video, I caught something so big it changes everything. Throughout this entire interview, Warren insisted that Bart's boat was a tide line. He was so sure of it, said it over and over and over again, claimed that there were 20 to 30 people on that boat. By the way he talks about boats and the equipment and stuff, it seems like he has some general knowledge of it and knows a lot about boats. So maybe y'all can tell me why, in this report, when they gathered the GPS evidence, does it say that Bart was driving a tide craft, not a tide line? They're entirely different designs, purposes, manufacturing styles. Mind you, this is what tide crafts look like. They ain't fitting 20 people on them. This is more what tide line boats look like, y'all. So did Bart bring 2 boats with him? Warren said Bart's dad was originally supposed to go with them. And tide line boats don't fit 20 people either. So was there a 4th boat out there?
The reason why the idea of a 4th boat is really important is because when they say, hey, we got on a boat at 3 and we ultimately left at 4:30.
I'm trying to figure this. That's why I'm so quiet. I'm just downloading data right now. This is some spooky, crazy shit.
And here is our complete GPS data so you could track us. That right there, the GPS data, has been the only verifiable evidence of their movements.
Right.
So when they say, this is when we left, this is when we hopped on, this is where we went, the GPS data has been the only empirical evidence we have to say, okay, yeah, we take their word for it. This is when they left, this is when they came, this is everything.
Right.
But if there's been a 4th boat that has not been tracked, if there's been a 4th boat that has GPS data that we don't have, then that brings up the possibility there may have been more traveling to more places and more activities that we don't know about.
Because they ain't look at that boat.
That's why that 4th boat is important. And guess what? Jay Megan uncovered more evidence there may have been a 4th boat. And again, it's really important because the GPS data from the boat they are talking about
is the only thing. That's the only thing we could be like, okay, they telling the truth. If it's another boat that they was on or they had involvement with that we haven't looked at their GPS data, it could very well be that same. It could very well be that GPS data that explains and tells a very big story.
They've been able to say, here's our movements, here's where we went, here is how you track us in our activities.
Right.
If there was a 4th boat that's being hidden, that's not being discussed, that's not being tracked, then there have been activities, there's been movements that we don't know about. And we must have all the information. And if information is being hidden purposefully,
man,
that's a reason for us to pause. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm just saying there are possibilities. There are things we're not being told.
Right. Not only have I found more evidence of a 4th boat, not only have I found a lie in their timeline, but I have also discovered a deep political connection, not only to a former governor of Mississippi, but to Turning Point USA. So first off, this picture has surfaced in which it's clearly the group of boats a little bit further out in the water all together. Now here's what is supposedly Bart's boat. We can see the Garmin on top. We can confirm this black boat from this other picture. We can see Wyatt's Triton right here, and we can confirm that by the motor. As you can see right here, has that black stripe on the white motor. Now in between the 2 boats is the Palm Beach. You can clearly see it labeled, and it's got that stripe, right? As you can see, the stripe is there. And yet there's this design right here and no Palm Beach. And you may be like, Jay, that doesn't prove that it's a different boat. Maybe we just can't see it, even though it should be right there according to this picture. But if you look in this video, you can see that there is a black propeller right there. See black propeller, and you can very clearly see the Palm Beach right there on the side. And if you look really carefully in this photo, you can see right there
black
propeller. There's another boat on the other side of these 3 boats. And given the lack of the name on the boat and the black propeller, I'm going to assume the Palm Beach is on the other side, which means there's 4 boats right here. Then I rewatched Warren's interview.
I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me, and I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck, and well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddies, and we went, filled the top of the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from 4 Bayou Boat Launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day.
So Wyatt had his buddy's boat already hooked up to the back of his truck. He said he and Wyatt and his other buddy went and got ice and filled up the boats. And Wyatt went and put the Palm Beach, his smaller boat, into the water. And we know that there was a second boat, the Triton, that was driven by Wyatt. Wyatt had 2 boats in the water. Who was driving his other boat?
We don't know the patterns of that particular boat.
Was
we
it
don't
Nolan?
know the GPS data. We don't know where it went. We don't know
Right.
who was driving it.
Right.
But we're trying to figure out who was driving Wyatt's other boat. Let's go to the Cito call. Now, this is completely speculatory. This is just my opinion.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. In my opinion, bro, and I have to make sure I say in my opinion because I do not want to be sued by anybody. But I think it's very suspicious that you get to the party with the hoes. Y'all in the pool with the hoes. Your homie Nolan said that he gonna stay back with the girl Katie. They kicking it. He spitting G. He macking. Then you go to the party. You talking to the dad. Then you come downstairs to the party, and you talking about I'm gonna call the Coast Guard. What? You gonna call the Coast Guard? All the while these people in possession of Nolan's phone. You didn't call his mama. You didn't call the police. You called the Coast Guard. Okay.
Like
I'm going to get my food, but I can still hear what's going on.
speculatory, okay? When Wyatt was on the phone with Cito, somebody else was also on the phone with Cito at the same time. That person's phone call has not been released yet. There's been no transcripts for it. Nobody have heard the phone call, but it was Wyatt's grandfather. Wyatt's grandfather was the one who told Cito, oh yeah, y'all shouldn't come anymore. Don't call Coast Guard. No, don't call Coast Guard. Now, if Wyatt's grandfather was on the island, if he drove the boat to the island, if Wyatt's grandfather, which I've seen this theory before where others have also pointed out Wyatt's grandfather may have been on the island, I don't know. But if Wyatt's grandfather was on the island, why have we heard very little about Wyatt's grandfather?
Right.
If there's a mystery of who the other driver was of the boat, of Wyatt's boat, why was the grandfather on the phone at the same time that Wyatt was telling them not to bring Cito and not to bring the Coast Guard? Why was the grandfather even involved in this at all? Right? That don't make sense. But here's the Cito call confirming that Wyatt's grandfather was on the call at the same time that Wyatt was telling them not to come.
For your support. So the official sworn MDMR Marine Patrol report was filed as a non-criminal missing person report. Now, this was filed via telephone at 10:05 a.m. on July 5th, 2026. 2 individuals are listed as involved entities: 21-year-old Bart Joseph Edmonston Jr. and Jerry Ralph Atkerson, which happens to be Wyatt's grandfather, i.e. the owner of the boat.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And he said that Jerry. Yeah, he said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now.
That call has not been released yet. We don't
Right.
know
What did he
the
say?
grandfather told these people.
Right.
But all the questions to our answers is in that call. The grandfather would say, hey, I'm on the island, or hey, I'm at home. I just heard what happened. But why would a grandfather who's not there, who's at home, who's hearing about his
That's what I
grandson's
said.
boat is sinking, tell them, hey, don't go out there.
They don't need no help.
We don't need you. That's information that you would probably know, or you will have more of a grasp on the situation if you were there and present. Because Wyatt was on the phone with them. So Wyatt wasn't on the phone with his grandfather and Cito at the same time.
Right.
So if Wyatt is telling Cito, hey, we need help. We need somebody to come out here. The grandfather is on a phone call at the same time saying,
No, we don't need help.
we don't need y'all to come out there. That
Sounds
mean the
stupid
grandfather
as
would
hell
have
to
been
me.
somewhere observing something. Because Wyatt can't tell the grandfather he's okay while telling Cito he's not okay at the same time.
Exactly.
But if we get that,
and I thought that was weird from the whole time, because if I'm a grandpa and my grandson who's on my boat, my grandson say, "Granddad, the boat sinking, the boat sinking. What you mean the boat sinking? Yeah, whatever. Okay, look, call, pick your phone up, call the CTO. CTO is, I guess, some like marine shit where they emergency shit where they tow you your boat if you're sent, whatever. I don't know. So if my grandson pick up the phone and call me, I'm gonna tell you one thing I'm not gonna do is pick up the phone and call CTO and be like, "Nah, my grandson good. Hell nah, nigga, hurry up." The fuck?
Which I'm going to request it. If we get that call, we'll know if the grandfather tell them, "Hey, I'm on the island," or "Hey, I'm at home." We will know the answer to that question. But them doing interviews and saying, "Well, this case is already sealed up, is already definitive, it's impossible with all the evidence that have came out that we did anything," we don't know. Questions still need to be answered. Okay, I honestly don't know. This is not me dog whistling guilt. This is me saying I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot that still needs to be answered. This case is far from closed and sealed.
Nolan was on Wyatt Pyron's 22 Triton. On the way out, I went with my buddy Bart because we had a lot of friends from college coming down. And I called Bart that morning. I was like, "Hey, man, can you take your boat out?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, my dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat and I'll take you and your friends." Of course, I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I, and Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. There was like 8 people on the Triton, and then there was 8 or 9 people on the Triton, and then there was the rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people.
Now, wait a minute. So Warren already had a boat hooked up when he woke up that morning. I'm assuming that had to be the Triton that was hooked up, right? Mm-hmm. Then he said that Wyatt went and put his smaller boat, the Palm Beach, into the water. Then Warren said that he was the one who drove the Palm Beach to their friend's dock. Assuming that Wyatt drove the Triton to the dock and Bart drove his own boat to that dock, who drove the Palm Beach out to the water then? Because he said that he got a ride in with Bart, even though at one point during the interview he said all of his stuff was on the Palm Beach. So it sounds to me like Warren was the one driving the Palm Beach. I'm also like, what parent would let their kid, who's obviously going off to party, take 2 of their boats and let their drunk friends drive? Like, it isn't making sense to me. I mean, maybe these parents are just shitty parents and irresponsible. Then he also said that he contacted Bart that morning to see if he could come. And Bart was like, "Yeah, I can give all your friends a ride, blah, blah, blah." According to him, there were 10-ish people, 15 people on that boat. So where were those people originally supposed to ride in on? They'd been planning it for weeks. They were excited about it. Why did Bart have to suddenly step in and take all these people? And remember, Bart said that his dad had canceled going out on the boat that day, so he could do it. Something's not adding up here. Mm-hmm. I think there was an adult somewhere in this mix. It would also explain how they all thought quickly on their feet with the sea tow. And I wouldn't be surprised if an adult didn't come out there and just go off with other adults that were also on Horn Island and let the kids hang out with the boats. Here's where things are going to get interesting, folks. Okay. There are more GPS coordinates in the report than what we have seen publicly. I'm going to play you a clip from the interview, but remember, at 5:30 is when they started picking up regular speed, all right? It's right here, 5:25.
Here's where this boat situation gets even weirder. When Warren did his interview with Officer Tatum, Warren said, as you heard earlier in this video, but I will remind you, that the last time he seen Nolan was with Katie. Right. He had Katie in his arms. They was having personal time.
He was kicking it, huh?
And because of that personal time with Katie, they had to leave Nolan because Nolan chose not to go with them. He wanted to stay with Katie. Even though Katie said the last time she seen Nolan was when they was calling Nolan over.
Always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their phone. So.
And so you guys get ready to leave out of there, getting towed out.
Yeah.
And then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, the last time I saw Nolan was 3 o'clock. And Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie. Katie. And Katie, Nolan was sitting there.
So since Officer Tatum cares so much about the truth, why he not interviewing Katie? because Katie contradicts their story. Katie's story contradicts their story, and somebody lying, and it'll raise more questions. It's very clear that goofy ass Officer Tatum over there in the corner. It's very clear that he has a bias. He has a bias, and that bias is him being a fucking weirdo. That just is what it is. Okay. Yeah, I got a white wife. White people ain't never did nothing bad to me. Shit. It's always dumbass, ignorant ass niggas that dumbass do something. He probably got killed by the 2 black kids that was on the island for the 5,000 white kids. Like, that's just how he come off. Like, that's how he is. I ain't gonna say how he come off. That's what motherfuckers get from his goofy ass. So why you not interviewing Katie? Why you not asking questions?
And the last
that
time
matter?
I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, dude, you crazy. I was like just joking with him. And but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked, this is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on.
If Nolan didn't get on the boat because he was with Katie, well, what if I tell you there may be evidence that Katie was on the boat? Would that change your mind on where Nolan was?
Right.
Make sure you go and watch it, but I'll give you a quick little rundown. Teal swimsuit, white backwards baseball cap. Teal swimsuit, white baseball cap. Red shorts, red shorts, red shorts. Bart's boat, girl in striped swimsuit, standing right next to a long-haired girl in a teal swimsuit. Teal swimsuit, striped swimsuit.
A girl in a teal swimsuit was Katie, by the way. That's evidence you see of Katie's on who boat? You do with that information as you may. If Nolan was with Katie and Katie was on the boat, then where was Nolan in that time? Y'all let me know in the comment section, okay? If you're still watching this video and you want to watch.
I don't know. What I do know for a damn sure, though, I know it's some fishy shit going on in this whole story. Somebody knows something, and somebody ain't telling us.